I'm Tesla, and this is Magically Mindful. Here I share my journey of growth and what it means to live authentically through life's polarity, the messy and the magical, the highs and the lows, and everything in between. Think of this as an open diary for your soul, here to remind you that you're never alone. Jenn Gardner, welcome to Magically Mindful, the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tesla. It's an honor, honestly. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I feel like it would be great to share a little bit about how we initially got connected. So, I think I've mentioned on the podcast that I'm working at this beautiful gym here in Calgary, Solace Strength and Wellness. And it's such a beautiful space because the owner, Hannah, and co owner, Jamie, they have created such a safe space where we can do things like full moon circles, which that's where Jenn comes in. You've now hosted two full moon circles at the space. So that was how we first met. And I was just absolutely enamored by you and your energy. So I just knew I needed to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tesla. Yeah, it's an honor to be in that space for one,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, Hannah and Jamie have just curated this absolutely beautiful situation. And yeah, I felt kindred as soon as I met you first time. Yeah,
Yeah. I just love those synchronicities, like
absolutely.
the way that the universe can bring us together. But I really was touched by the bit that you shared. So I'd love to get more into it, just about your own journey and just
hmm
kind of, where you were and how you got to where you were today, like that kind of timeline, if you're open to sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it kind of depends on how far we want to go back, right? But
Yeah.
um, so I was diagnosed with breast cancer
Mm-hmm.
in 2019, um, in June of 2019, actually. And it was a big shock. I mean, I was quote unquote young for a breast cancer diagnosis. I was in my early 40s. And I had lived a relatively healthy life up until that point. I drank my green juices every day. I worked out, um, 5 days a week. I had lots of friends. I had two children, I was married. Um, for all intents and purposes, looks like I had a perfect life on the outside. So I was diagnosed in 2019. It was a huge shock to me, to my family, everybody. Um, and then that was in June. And then actually, I don't even know if you know this, Tesla, but a few months later, when I had started chemo, I had gone through some scans and I had been re-diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is they classify it as an uncurable disease. So it's also called metastatic breast cancer. It's just a form of that the cancer has left the breast and moved into different areas of your body. And so it's moved to my spine and my bones. Um, so if the first blow wasn't bad enough, the second one felt even more dark night of the soul-ish, if you will. So they continued on with my treatment, and I did chemo for 5 months, lost all my hair, um,
Mm-hmm.
felt awful. Actually handled it pretty well. I think that the takeaway for me was that maybe that the lifestyle that I was leading before in the healthy way maybe didn't prevent me from getting breast cancer, but it definitely was strong enough to handle all of the treatment that was pushed at me at the time. So I rallied back and finished chemo in December of 2019. And then kind of had to reevaluate everything, right? So the thing about when you go through treatment, especially when you have a cancer diagnosis, in my opinion, is that when you're in treatment, it feels like you're actually doing something. And it feels
Mm-hmm.
really like you're fighting and you're a warrior and you're going through all this and you're doing something. It was kind of the after that I was like, okay, now how am I going to live the rest of my life? Um, and I made that determination after my hair was slowly starting to come back in, and we had just been hit with COVID at the time. So I felt like it was a bit of a blessing in disguise for me. I had prayed that I would have throughout my whole journey of treatment, I'd prayed that I would have more time with my family. That was my one prayer.
Mm.
And then COVID hit, and I was like, well, this isn't quite what I meant. But when we
Oh
were
my
all locked
gosh.
in a house for months on end all together, but it was definitely a blessing in disguise. And I could take that time
Mm.
to really start to heal my body, but
Mm.
also to heal my soul and to really try to figure out how the next years were going to look like. And
Mm.
that brought me to all sorts of healing modalities. So I discovered Reiki at that time,
Mm.
which I think is most people's kind of like gateway drug into the spiritual world. I had received a few Reiki sessions and they had alleviated so much pain, so much anxiety, so much discomfort that I went and got my level one, two, three, and then my master level Reiki. And yeah, through that dark nights, and I say nights because it wasn't just one of the soul. I found a spirituality that was really, really tucked deep, 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 deep inside me that I hadn't allowed myself to explore. And it was a giving over for me. So I was like, I have felt like I had given so much of my life to health and family and everything that now it was time to focus on me. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I heard a little voice um, from spirit say, search and you will find it. And
Mm.
there began my journey into spirituality and wellness in a holistic fashion, not just a band aid that you put over symptoms. And I bring that holistic wellness into my life now. And I've been it'll be 7 years here in June,
Mm.
and I have been re-diagnosed once again with no evidence of active disease. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, and I've been backed off a couple of my drugs, and my doctors have all but said that I will live a long life. So,
Mm.
here we are today.
Wow, so
Yeah,
beautiful.
a very long story made
Congratulations.
short. Thank you so much.
Well, yes. Oh my gosh, what like yeah, I can't even imagine the journey, but it's just such a powerful one and just everything that you have shared and I think it's really inspiring as well. And I'm curious to know because like you said you found Reiki and then that opened that world up for you. Did you have any like awareness around the spirituality of it all or was it like a whole new world for you?
It's so interesting because once you know something, you don't ever unknow it. So I try to look back at my life and my connection to spirit, to God, to energy before. And I had a very high level belief system. I was lucky enough to have a mom that's quite woo woo. So she, um, has been spiritual her whole life and worked with energy. So I was definitely, it wasn't new to me, but I had put it in a little box, I think subconsciously in that, like, oh, I'll explore this later. So it wasn't necessarily new, but my dive in was deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And I'd be curious to know like your relationship with trust and surrender.
Well, that's a big question, or that's a big
Yeah.
comment. That definitely. So I think that when it comes down to like brass tacks and the very root of my health today,
Mm.
that would be surrender and
Mm.
never giving up, but always giving over. Giving over to the divine, giving over to spirit, giving over to the bigger plan that
Mm.
this all that this all is. And for me, that was a absolute necessity to make sense of this massive thing that had happened to me. Um, to recognize that it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And um, that just that sentence alone got me through and still gets me through so many dark times, because we're not here alone. This isn't a lonely journey where we are unsupported, where things don't make sense. Um, when you take a step back and recognize that every single thing in our lives is put there for us, you
Mhm.
can make sense of awful, heartbreaking, challenging things that happen to us. And so for me, that surrender was so, and is still so deep, that um, I now know that that doesn't bypass that if I get bad news at a next scan or I start to feel ill, that
Mm.
I'm not going to be able to and sit deeply in those feelings and feel scared and feel sad and whatnot. But when I can back myself off and take my ego out of it and sit in silence, I know that there's a divine purpose for all of this. Um,
Mhm.
even down to the surrender of non-attachment, to the outcome of things, to
Mhm.
know that even when I look at my kids and I feel so sad that they've had to go through this, that they chose this for their life as well. They
Mhm.
chose me as their mom to go through this for whatever greatness they have ahead of them. And so as soon as I can detach from my own ego and my own emotion about it, the surrender just gets me through so many things.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing all of that, especially the detachment, because as
Mm,
humans, like, there definitely is a large population of people that just like even with illness, right? Like if it's like we receive news and then it's like, oh, I have this thing, and
hmm
then it becomes like a definition. But, for me, how I relate to that is like I always thought, oh, I'm just an angry person. But then eventually it was like, wait, that I can choose to not be that way. And then everything changes. What has that looked like for you?
Yeah, like I very words are spells.
Hmm.
And there's so much, we have so much attachment to words. Um, and so I am so careful of the words that I say and the intention that I have when I speak to about this illness that I was diagnosed with. And
Hmm.
it is not mine. I don't carry it. It's not my cancer. It's not my, they're not my pills I take. They're not, wasn't my chemo.
Hmm.
It's I can, as much as possible, detach myself from that. It was a point in time where I
Hmm.
was diagnosed with something, and at that point in time it happened, but I don't have to own it anymore. So I totally understand. And that with that, everything changed. Everything changed.
Yeah. I love exactly what you said. Words are spells. Like we're always manifesting with our words, and that's
Always.
why I'm always mindful to. And I love to say cancel, clear, delete if I say
Yeah.
something that I don't mean. Um, but what would you say is the biggest change you noticed in yourself from like because you had talked about like how essentially obviously your life changed in terms of like health and wellness, but
hmm
thinking about yourself as just an individual, what do you think is the biggest difference?
Um, I'd say it's quite twofold. I think that for myself, I live with a bit more, um, like no abandon. Like I'm just out there trying to live every single day as if it were my last. So
Mm.
when you get a diagnosis that is, and honestly, this diagnosis, if you look it up, it's like 3 to 5 years. Like
Mm.
that's what your life expectancy is. Um, those numbers are quite skewed because a lot of old people get diagnosed with it in their 80s and then they die. But
Mm.
um, So walk with, I say I walk with death every single day. And my relationship
Mm,
to death and dying has changed so much, um, but has really changed me for the better because I walk with this idea that life is impermanent, which I think I knew before, but I didn't feel and I didn't
mm,
accept before, that we're only here for a certain amount of time. And this is the only chance you get at this one lifetime. So I think I walk with that knowledge more than a lot of like a regular person. And so it allows me to take a few more risks, to be less angry, to forgive quicker, to
mm,
ride the ebbs and flows of life a little stronger. Like when I'm happy, I
mm.
can really, really feel it and really be happy. And when I'm down, I'm like, this is a down day. That's totally fine. I'm living it. Um, I really think that that is a big one. Um, and just in my day-to-day life, like I have a pretty much like fuck it attitude. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever. This too shall
Yeah.
pass, and life is
Mm.
short, and yeah, it's a wild ride.
And I think it also shines on you being a Scorpio sun. I feel like that is like beautifully intertwined. Everything you just said, I'm like, that aligns with Scorpio energy.
It sure does. It sure does. Yeah, absolutely.
So, could you share some of the practices that you do, like, the ones that you're hosting and or the ones that you just do for yourself kind of on like a regular basis?
Yeah, well, I'll start with myself.
Hmm.
So of course, when I was first diagnosed, I was up here a lot. Like it was in my head so much with fear, with anxiety, with stress, all of it. So I developed a meditation practice. Um, I started off with a mindfulness-based meditation practice, and which is just connecting to your breath. It's got roots in Buddhism. It's just connecting to your breath, clearing your mind. And I've continued that on. Um, it was a lifesaver for me. And I know I get lots of, anytime I bring that up, people are just like, oh, it's big eye roll because it's like, it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Um, but ultimately, it is um, the lifesaver, to get me out of my head and
Mm.
into my body. Energy work, Reiki, um, again, just to alleviate stress, to balance my chakras. Um, I have, you name it, I've tried it.
Yeah.
I have an amazing body talk practitioner that has worked with me through this entire thing that
Mm.
um, is amazing. So I've relied on that. Just my connection to spirit has been a
Mm.
big one for me. My angels, developing my psychic ability just to bring back into my intuition. Um, those are kind of my practices that I've used. And
Mm.
on a bigger scale, I think that for me, being able to reassess my purpose in this lifetime has been the game changer for me. So
Mm.
before diagnosis, I worked in oil and gas. I had a pretty high profile job. I was only working part time, but it was stressful, and I was in the grind. And so as soon as I was diagnosed, I quit working completely. And then when was feeling better, it came down to, okay, now what am I going to do for the rest of my life, quote unquote. And that is where the real healing took place for me, because to be in service to others allowed me for a deep level of healing that I didn't even know possible.
Mm.
And my passion and my purpose is bringing folks together, mainly women. I think it's just such an important time right now that we gather.
Mm.
Um, and there is something so healing about sharing our stories, about sharing in our highs and our lows in a raw, unfiltered way that, um, being able to facilitate that is of the highest service for me. It's direct from the divine. And that has been, just I've gained levels of healing I never could imagine just from that alone.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there is so much magic with, like you said, gathering and just what that does, because I think when we just take it back to like our ancestors, right? That's exactly what they were doing. And like with what did they call those tents when they would come
The red
together?
tent, the red
Yes.
tent. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's just like, it's interesting to be on this journey because it's like so much it's that our soul's remembering.
that is so true. Um, Through this whole, and like I said, once you've learned something, you can never unlearn it.
Yeah.
And so I really think that that's what, I mean, when someone asks, like, what's the purpose of this life? Like, why are we
Mm.
here? It is a remembering. It's the
Mm.
remembering that it's all love and that we're all one, and that the disconnection that we have is manufactured and it's put on us. And
Mm.
when we come in circle and we connect with somebody on a deeper level, and we use it, and we can truly be in each other's space and connect to the heart, that's the remembering that we were never separate to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like that's such an important part of like this life, especially just with everything the way that the world is at this point in time. Like, I know we've talked about it a little bit, even just with what is real versus what is not real. How do you navigate that?
Um, the word discernment has come up so much for me lately. And where that lies is in your own intuition, in your own body, in your own experience. And it's one of, it's so important right now, like you said, like everything that's going on in the world, all the fake news, all the AI. Um, and I said this at our last circle, Tesla. It's like if you were to post something online, I'd be like, is that true?
Mm.
But when I'm sitting next to you in the flesh,
Mm.
connecting, I know it's real. I know what it's tangible, it's real. And we've lost so much of that.
Mm.
And that's not to say that technology is all bad. Like there's some amazing things that are coming out of it, definitely. But we've
Mm.
lost so much of that connection and that realness. So when I see things online, and I mean, for me, it just hits so hard because when you're in the quote unquote cancer world, there's so much information. Every article is like five
Mm.
ways to cure cancer, five ways not to get cancer, like this, that, and I was getting information left, right, and center, like try this scorpion poison from Cuba to cure it, and this and that. And I was practicing this discernment years ago in order to really
Mm.
know what works for me, what feels right for
Mm.
my body, what feels where I'm being sucked into fear versus reality. And it's the same what's going on right now. Like when you're looking at something online, how does it make you feel? Where are you feeling that in your body? That's
Mm.
the voice we should be listening to first before the mental brain starts to come over and rethink everything.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned intuition. So, especially in a world that there is so much noise, how have you been able to just over time strengthen your intuition?
Yeah, so a lot of it is um, present moment. So when we're in the present moment, we allow ourselves to be able to listen to that voice that is discerning, it's loud, it's clear. So again, back to meditation, it works so well of clearing our monkey mind so that we can come back into our bodies. So that's worked for me. Plus, I love cheating with lots of different tools. So I use
Mm,
tarot and oracle and pendulum work and muscle testing. All these like little tools that we have access to that are pulling in the information from our higher self through our intuition
mm,
and leading us to the answers. So I
mm.
use my pendulum a lot for things and yeah, like just these little things. But I think when it comes down to it, I do a lot of journaling. I connect with my spirit guides. I know I'm not alone. I know that I'm not alone and
Mm.
that I'm guided, and that if I listen deep enough, the messages will come.
Yeah. Yes, I love everything you said, especially about how we're never alone. Like, I think that's been such a big thing on my journey as well, because I'm like, even before getting on our call, I'm like asking for divine presence, be be here supporting this call, the energy, and for all of those that like the highest good of all those that listen and all of that. And I think it's like, yeah, because it's there's nothing worse than when we go through dark night of the soul and then you isolate, right? Like you feel it's all encompassing. So always just like remembering like there is that thread, there is that higher power that we can always tap into. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it's us, right? Like we are innately powerful.
We are innately powerful, and we are. You are me, I am you. Everything is a
Mm,
mirror. So anything that I'm going through, and I'm when it's all divine. It's all
yeah.
divinely orchestrated, the good and the bad. And
Mm,
I think that is the takeaway from all of this is that when things are good, everything seems like it's working in our favor and we're riding this high and we're unstoppable. And then when we meet the valley, um, I look at it now as there's so much more information in the
mm,
valleys, even more than the peaks. And that these things are happening again, they're for us. They're not to us. And obstacles are they're just rerouting us into different areas that are meant to be. And when you're down there, it's really hard to like
mm,
and I don't promote toxic positivity. I think when you're in the valley, be in it and really feel it and don't bypass it, but don't stay in it. And
mhm,
to get out of it, there's a lot of tools we can have, and when we think about our angel team and our guidance and spirit, that everything is for us and that's for the greater good of all, we can slowly start to come out of these and find purpose and meaning in what just happened.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And that I think that's for me why I love astrology so much because I'm like, okay, while I can't like truly expect anything, at least I know if I'm feeling a certain way, I can look to the stars and be like, oh, I'm just being influenced by this retrograde or whatever it may be. And I would love if you could share more about your experience with working with the moon cycles and also how the astrology has played into that. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, um, when we went, if we go back to when you asked the question about, how did like my spiritual journey kind of start, moon cycles was pretty much my first foray into a bit more woo-woo stuff, because I recognized the cyclical nature of it and could really apply that to my life on a grander scale. And the word impermanence is just like the catchphrase that we have in this household, actually, because
Mm,
the moon is the bigger reminder that we are not in anything for a long time. Everything changes, everything. And you're never the same person you were a second ago. You might be repeating patterns, but even the pattern that you're repeating is being repeated on a new version of you.
mm,
So you're reacting to things differently each and every time. And the moon is just a bigger representation of the cycles that we have in ourselves, the cycles that our astrology chart takes. We have our
mm,
transits come and we revisit the same lessons over and over and over again. But we're looking at them in different lenses every time. And if we're in the present moment, and if we stay aware of our lives, a lot of that's through journaling, we can see how these things are playing out in our lives and being able to use them to live a essentially more positive life. You can
mhm,
anticipate things. You can understand that when you're down, you come up. And when you're shining, you'll also have a time to come inward. So
mhm,
cycles is a big thing for me. I love working with the yearly cycles, the wheel of the year. It's really supported me through all of this journey.
mm. What do you mean by Wheel of the Year? I don't know if I know what
Ah,
that is.
yeah. So it's a pagan tradition, comes out of the
Mm,
pagan tradition, witchcraft, if you will.
mhm,
And it's following the cycles of the year and all that has to offer. And what it does is it to dumb it down, it's working with the energies of fall, spring, winter, um, summer,
mhm.
not in that fall,
Yeah,
winter, spring, and summer,
yeah.
and how those apply to where you're at in life. So winter being a time where we hibernate, we come inward, we um rejuvenate, we get quiet. Spring being a time where we start to percolate. Ideas that we might have had during winter start to kind of sprout and grow. And then we
Mm,
come to summer where things are in full bloom and it's fire energy. We're out there, we're doing. And then fall we use as a time to let go of what no longer serves us before we go into that cycle again. So we're using that wheel of the
mm,
year to really emulate what is going on in our lives as well. And as soon as we start using that, naturally, we're already in it. So we're in it naturally. And sometimes we fight it, right? We throw things like Christmas in the middle of winter where it's like the most crazy time of the year. Um, so what I do is I just take those times and use them to go inward a little bit more, especially in winter. And then I
mm,
use spring. Like right now, I'm starting to get that really like energetic feeling, but it's not quite there yet. But like ideas are starting to bubble, and I know that in the next couple of months, I'm going to really use them. And it's interesting, Tesla, because that emulates our astrology charts and our birth charts, which
mhm.
emulates the moon, which emulates the cycles of plants, with animals, like the birth and death, like it's all just intertwined.
Yes. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I love that you said that about Christmas because I was going to say, I think intuitively, I was feeling into this, the end of last year into this year. I was like, I am not celebrating this new year. This does not feel any different to me. I'm waiting for Aries season.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yay, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's so true. And when we can live by those cycles and astrology as well, right? Like when you're
Mhm,
in a when you're in a cycle of yeah, like when you're in Aries energy, it's like
mhm,
take it and run with it.
mhm.
Like when you're in Scorpio energy, like get moody, get witchy, get get there, right? And yeah, I think
Yeah.
that the outside world, the natural world, will support us if we listen to what it's trying to say.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everything is just always just look out the window. It's nature is always speaking to us, and it's just like such a beautiful thing that we get to be in witness of and be experienced in all the time. But I would also love to learn more about just your offerings and how you share your gifts, all of that good
Uh,
stuff.
Hey, thank you so much. So I offer Reiki sessions. They're 90 minutes long, and I think they're really beautiful because we start with a pretty long conversation about what's going on in your life and how I can support you. And then we go through our Reiki session, and at the end of it, I always pull some tarot and oracle cards. I find that our higher self is very relaxed and open. And so I think you leave feeling very, very, get everything kind of tied up in a nice bow to support you in your healing journey. So I offer those. I offer them out of my house, but I also am at Solace Strength in Calgary a couple days a week. So you can check out that there. I do full moon circles again at Solus once a month. And we use the energy that the full moon is in to support us in our circle, and it's nice and it's very cozy, and we share, we cry, we laugh, we burn shit sometimes. Yeah, it's really, yeah, Tesla, you've experienced it. It's amazing. And I also offer every couple of months a longer version of the circle in my half day retreats. And sometimes we do them at my house, sometimes we do them at a community hall, but they have a little bit of movement, sometimes some yoga. Um, that's brought to you by my dear friend Sarah Villamil, who's the most fabulous yoga teacher.
Mm.
And yeah, we take these concepts and we just expand them a little bit more and workshop them. And they're very hands-on, and we just get together in a big group, usually of just women, and we learn about all this woo-woo wacky stuff. And
Mm.
it's just a really nourishing afternoon. Yeah. I'm always adding things in. I'm doing a sound healing course right now, so I'm looking forward to
Mm.
start some sound healing. And yeah, ever expanding, ever learning. I'm a student of the world, that's for sure.
Yes. And there's just so many beautifully divine things to learn about. Like, there's so much that we have to explore. What would you say has been like the most gratifying part of doing these practices and like holding this space for women?
Again, I think that's a twofold answer for me. Number one is being able to connect um, women back to themselves, to empower them to know that even though life is not in your control, you have so much control of how you act, react, learn lessons is in your control. And so it's really about taking the power back from so many different areas that are trying to steal it from you, and bringing it back to women and giving them back their voice and giving them a little bit of support that way. That's been just huge for me. And in doing that, every single person that I meet is a mirror. So every time I come in contact with anybody, I see versions of myself in there. And it allows for me deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper healing with every interaction that I have.
Yeah, that is such a gift of being human. And I'm even
Mm.
like, as you were sharing that, I'm curious to know just about how that journey has been as a mother.
Oh, where do I begin? I have the most fabulous kids. Um, and I think that for me, the amount I learn from them through this whole process, I've been really um, through this. last 7 years, I've been stripped down of the person that I thought I should be, and I had to be. And I was allowed to build up the person who I wanted to be. And that person understands that these people are put into my life for a reason and that I can learn so much from them. And
Mm,
so, my relationship with my kids, I have a 12-year-old boy and a 17-year-old daughter who are wildly intelligent.
mm,
They're not mini me's, like their own people. And even though they're younger than me and they have less world experience, their souls have been here so many times. And I've been able to learn so much from them because I've just been open to listening, being open to
mm,
understanding the lessons that when they're put in front of my face and it feels challenging and it feels like they're pushing me towards something and I'm at the edge of my boundary, that I can just say, wow, this is mine, not yours. Any struggle that I'm having
mm.
here, and if I listen to them, oh, the lessons are beautiful, beautiful. The most
Yeah.
nurturing I could ever imagine. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it makes a lot of sense why people say that, your children are your biggest mirrors and teachers.
that is an understatement.
Yeah.
Especially in the teenage years, you
Mm,
see so much where you're unhealed when you're up against things. And for me too, like, this is for a whole other podcast, but I
mm,
see so many areas where I am the patriarchy is just insidious into my life, and how I've the 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 way I look at life is through stories that aren't mine, that I've been pulling through
mm.
from generation to generation to generation. And my job here is to untangle those stories, and come back to, what does my intuition say? What does my higher self say? What is the true meaning of life? Not one that was put on me, but one that I want to live. And I want that for my kids as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, it just goes back to what we were talking about with detachment too. Like, not becoming all consumed by conditioning or the stories that our minds have made up or that, others may have told us about ourselves. And just,
Hmm.
I guess that also ties into just reclaiming your power and being your own authority.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to parenting. I think that there's a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts when it comes
Mm,
to parenting, and I've really tried to remove myself from a lot of those and just go from what really my heart feels like and how I can support my children in being the best versions of themselves.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Water.
I think with you sharing that, it just popped into my head that I feel like you exude a lot of confidence, like you're confident within yourself. Is there anything that you could share for someone that's like maybe on that journey where they're like, I want to be confident and I just don't know how to get there?
Thank you for saying that. Um, it's something I've had to dig deep down in, because, of course, things like imposter syndrome come in. Like, who am I? Who am I to hold a circle? And who am I to
Mm,
be on a podcast? Like, I'm just Jenny from the block. Like, I just
yeah.
do my thing. I think that to reclaim your power comes with a lot of, like we just said, like, it's a lot of stripping away what doesn't serve you. And
Mm,
that is, it's challenging because things are so ingrained in our psyche, in our brains, in our day to day. So reclaiming that ability to know what's best for yourself, listening to your intuition and trusting it, is will give you more confidence than any affirmation or any um outside, um like outside praise would ever get you. So when you are living a life that is aligned and true to yourself, your own specific blueprint of why you're on this earth, the confidence just comes. It's inevitable. It will just flow. So,
Mm.
sitting in meditation, journaling what is important to you, gratitude, what lights you up, what fires you up. You, not anybody else, but you,
Mhm.
kind of coming back right back to stripping everything away and just spending time with yourself and saying, this, what is important to me? I think that's how you gain true, true, true confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think a huge takeaway from our beautiful conversation is even just like living life for yourself and on your own terms and what that can do.
Yeah, like the outside noise is loud. It's
Mhm.
strong. It's in our faces constantly, constantly, constantly. Taking back the power of you're in control of the information that you take in. No one's here to save you from yourself,
Mm.
right? I remember, I'll just share this quick story, Tesla, and it seems
Mm.
so simple, not easy, but simple. But I go for some scans every 6 months, and it's a real big time of anxiety for me because it's like, how did I do for the next 6 months? Is there going to be changes? Is my life going to blow up again? Blah blah blah. There's this whole big scanxiety thing around it.
Mm.
And it was a couple years ago. I was in a particularly challenging mental spiral, and I heard from my higher self, you can choose to think about something different right now. And then I did. And I was
Mm.
like, wow, I can choose what I think about right now. And
Mm.
it doesn't bypass anything. I still felt the feelings of it. But in that spiral, I was like, dead stop. I chose to think about a trip to Hawaii instead. And my whole
Mm.
nervous system just relaxed. And so I just tell that story because it's something that is just so simple. It's a simple act that you can do, but it's not easy. But when you can recognize that you are in control of your own life, then your life can change and you can manifest the life you want beyond what you would have ever imagined. You're
Mm.
in control. You decide
Yeah.
what podcasts you listen to. You decide what news you pick up. You decide who you surround yourself with. You decide. You're in control.
Mm-hmm. That's 100. I keep saying it. I'm 100% agreeing with you on all of
Yeah.
the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is just true, and it that too is simple. And I think the most powerful things are the most simple things, and like it's just that discernment of being like, I'm going to not listen to all the noise, and I'm going to just follow my own compass and see where it leads.
And it's funny because you get painted as radical when you do that
Yeah.
in our society, like I've made quite a few decisions that are best for our family that people are just like I cannot believe you do that. And I'm like, I can't believe that you don't do it.
Yes.
Because it's like maybe we're not falling in line exactly how we've been conditioned to do, and that can look a little crazy sometimes, but I'm here for it, right?
Hmm.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. It's like the greatest gift that we can give ourselves, honestly. And I love that you brought that up about it being radical because, yeah, so many times in my life, I'm like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. But it's like, I was
Hmm.
never crazy.
No, exactly. You're just following your heart, right?
Hmm.
And if that's what you want to paint me as crazy or delusional or whatever, I'm okay with it. I'm confident enough. I know myself well enough to know that if I'm truly listening to my heart, my higher self, my spirit guides, that it will never lead me astray. There might be a huge lesson at the
Hmm.
end of it, but
Yes.
I'm here for it, right? I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Growth. Yeah.
Yeah. It is all about growth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this amazing conversation, is there
Could talk to you
anything?
forever.
I know it's been such a pleasure. Is there anything that's maybe just on your heart that you would love to share? Like maybe something that someone might need to hear?
Thank you for asking. Um, the word connection just keeps coming up. And I think that it's just what's so important right now that if you are feeling like you're lost or that your life is without purpose, or you're just having you're in just a season of challenge right now, I urge you to go out and connect to nature, connect to your guides, the divine, connect to people, like real people in the flesh and blood, like go
Mm.
connect. um I think that that's just really, really, really what we're missing right now is that deep connection to others. And so
Mm.
reach out to me, to
Yeah.
Tesla, you know, like we can
Hmm.
guide you in areas and ways that you can find that connection. And I just think it's so, so, so important and and uh um what we need so much in life right now.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I'll
Hmm.
definitely share how people can find you in the show notes.
Thank
And
you.
I mean, yeah, anyone that's local in Calgary, they're welcome to join us at Solace.
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to have you.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Jen. This was, like I said, an
Oh,
absolute pleasure.
Tesla, thank you so much. It's my
Yes.
honor to be on here with you, and I just loved it so much.
Yes, me too. Thank you. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone you love, and let's keep the conversation going on Instagram at Magically Mindful Podcast. For collaborations and partnerships, email magicallymindfulpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please leave us a review so we can continue to grow this amazing community.